Okay, what I got in the car that I did, fuck, I don't know, 8 years ago. There's a video of it on YouTube already. Did the motor, just a 350, 355, something like that. I don't remember if it was standard or 30 over. World product heads, 202, comp cam 270 Magnum. Well, the guy was trying to sell the car and he had it sitting out front for sale, and some fucking punk smashed all the glass out of it except for the T-tops, then fucking beat the car with a rock. So I'm gonna bring it in and fix it for him for nothing, because, well, I think it's fucking bullshit what they did, and no big deal to fix it. Oh, I miss that smell. The old lady gets mad and I do burnouts in the driveway, so I do them in the garage. Anyway, this is a comp cam 270 Magnum. 9.5:1 compression. Other than the head, the motor's nothing special. At the track, it runs a flat 8. First time to the track, it ran an 8, which isn't bad for a car that's driven on the streets on pump gas. Okay, the first thing to do is to wash this whole surface that you're going to be painting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to blend on this, and what I mean is I'm going to blend paint in the area that I've worked. I'll clear coat the whole door. Same with this rear quarter. I'll fix the spot. I'll blend in the paint. Then I'm going to have to clear the whole quarter. Now normally, like on newer cars or whatnot, you can have a break in your roof. There'd be like a reveal mold in there or something. Like this, you would tape that. I'm going to take the spoiler off. You know, you run down and tape all this. It's going to start cleaning the rubber off, but whatever. There's no break on the roof. So to do this proper, I'd have to scuff pad the whole ass end of this car, the roof, and this ass end, and clear this rear quarter, the roof, and that rear quarter, so you won't see any blend line. I could probably get away with doing a blend here on the line, but we lose the line up here, and because of the dents up above it, you couldn't do it. So I got to blend up here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I hate doing blends on tops because the sun tends to break them down a little bit quicker. If I do a mechanical blend, they seem to hold up better than a chemical burn. I don't know what else to say about that. Anyway, first thing to do is get the dents out. Now the average body shop would grind this all the fuck with a grinder and fill this in with Bondo. Same with that. They grind that fucking paint up, rough up the metal, and sculpture that dent with fucking Bondo. Why? It's fast. You know, I could grind it up and hack this car and fill those dents with Bondo and be done and have it in primer in an hour. But instead, I gotta get in this door. You know, I gotta take the door panel all apart, hammer the dent out, get the lines back in it, and get most of the dent out that I can. And same with here. I gotta reach in somehow through the trunk. I'll probably take the interior panel apart, or maybe use my dent. I got a stud welder that you can weld a stud onto it, but it's a pretty sharp dent. I don't know if it's going to pull it. They have their limits. But anyway, I gotta get this dent out as best I can. So I'm gonna spend pretty much the rest of the day just getting the dents out before I'm ready for Bondo, and it's 12:30 now. So yeah, probably about 4 hours from now I'll be able to put Bondo on these dents. Where 4 hours from now, if I was the typical body shop and just wanted to hack it and didn't give a shit about the cars or what I did for work, I'd just grind them up, fill them, and in 4 hours I could paint this fucking thing. But that's not doing it right, and that's not what I'm about. So anyway, I'm gonna hammer these out, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. Probably I'm gonna try a stud on it before ripping the interior out of it. I could drill it, put a screw in it and pull it, but I hate doing that. Sometimes you take a flat washer and grind a flat spot on it. And you got your washer, grind a flat spot into it, and you can weld that on there and get into it with a hook and a dent puller and get a pretty good pull on it. The studs have their limits. You know, they'll pull off before they pull a good hard dent out. So anyway, I'm going to start hammering. Okay, I'm ready to put some filler in one of the dents. I've got it pulled out the best I can. There's a reinforcement bar in these doors, and it's right over that dent, so I can't get in the back side and hammer it. I could cut the bar out, you know, cut a hole in it, but you lose the strength of the door that way, so I'm not going to. If I weld the stud and pull it as much as I can, block it out with 80 grit. So I'm ready to mix up some filler. Now you'll open the can, you'll see there's some liquid in it, it's a resin. And you gotta stir this really good, kind of like a can of peanut butter, you know, like a jar. You open it up, you got all the oil on top. You gotta mix that in really good. And same with the hardener. What the fuck is in it? Peroxide, I think. What you do is you take the top off and hold that up like that and thump your hand on something. And what you're doing is trying to get all the hardener down in the bottom part of the tube and squeeze it real gently till you see the stuff start coming up out of that hole. Then stop and put your cap back on. And all you're doing there is getting the air out of the tube. And grab it by the bottom and shake it back down towards the top. And you just sit there and squeeze this tube. And you'll feel the stuff squishing back and forth through your through your fingers. You do this for a few minutes, and what you're doing is you're mixing that liquid into your cream. And that just saves you from having any failure in your filler. A lot of people don't do this shit. You know, it says right on it, you know, thoroughly knead it or whatever. You know, then they blame it on the product when they have a failure. You know, I use Evercoat Chromolite. I've used it for years. I love it. You can buy cheaper stuff through Napa. Napa's got a gray and black can. It's extra light, I think it's called. Yeah, I think extra light filler. That's not too bad. It's a little porous. You tend to get a little bit of pinholes in it, so you need a glazing putty on it after. This stuff here, you mix it in good. You won't get pinholes if you put it in good and tight. And what I mean by that is actually push it on your squeegee when you're applying it. There's a general rule, like an inch line for a golf ball size of Bondo. Cold weather, like today, this is going to dry slow. It's cold and damp. I can put more hardener in it and it'll dry quicker, but it's going to make the filler tend to be more brittle and break easier. Makes it appropriate no matter what temperature is. If it's hot out, you're going to work it fast. Okay, I want to show you this. Like previous when I said, you know, the average body shop would take a grinder to it, and they would. Take something like this to it. And it'd get in there and force that in there and grind and twist and bend and try to get all the paint off and get the metal roughed up for the mechanical bond that the Bondo needs. But what you're doing there is you're thinning your metal out. These cars aren't very thick. The metal on these cars are thin. It doesn't take nothing with one of them grinders, you know, they're 36 grit, 24 grit. And you need at least 36 for the Bondo to bite good. It doesn't take long to thin the metal out and turn it to nothing. Now what this is, I call it a waffle wheel. It's from 3M, it's a strip disc, it's just like plastic, I guess, I don't know. But this, we'll go in and take the paint out without hurting the metal. I mean, it barely scratches it. And what that will allow me to do is weld a stud onto it, or a washer, whatever you're going to use. So as you see, it's taking the paint off. Get good clean metal, so now I can weld something to that and pull this dent out. Okay, you can see I welded a nail to it and pulled it. Cut the nail off and hit it with the grinder. Now is the time for one of these or a regular grinder. I like these better than a stone grinder. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take, there's filler in here right now. This whole car is basically skimmed. Now I'm going to grind back around here with a grinder. And then I'm going to DA this whole area back with like 80 grit. And I'll put a skim of filler in here, then block it out. Okay, here it is ready to prime. Now this is all 180 scratches. Been blocking this out. And the white stuff you see is the glaze putty. There's a lot on the market because everyone's starting to jump on the bandwagon. To each his own, I guess. I use Evercoat products. They've been around forever. It's a trusted name, kind of like DuPont. I've used this my whole life. I've tried other stuff in the shops I've worked at, like the Dolphin Glaze. I fucking hate it. It sands like shit. It's like putting chocolate milk on your car. It's real runny. This stuff will stay in place. Sand's fucking nice. Plus it has ZNX7, which is an adhesion promoter to help this stick to galvanized aluminum. You can use it on anything that's hardened with a hardener, like a base coat, clear coat. If there's a little dent right here, I could scuff this up with 180, put that in it, sand it, and paint right over it. Same with the Bondo I use. The Evercoat that I use, that has the same chemical in it, the ZNX. But like I said, each his own. You want to go to Walmart and buy Bondo that's UV activated or whatever, have at it. I'm just telling you what I use and the reason I use it. I've used it forever, never had a problem with it. I've used other stuff in shops and I've had a problem with adhesions, bleed through, sanding problems because the shit, you know, a lot of the other stuff sands like shit, plugs of paper, whatnot. But anyway, back to this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a red scuff pad and delve the finish all the way around to around here somewhere, and I'm going to prime that area. But I'm going to be just within that area. And same this door. I'll scuff pad the whole door on the top half. Then I'm going to come back past the 180 a little ways. What I want to do is get primer on the repaired area and on my 180 scratches, so I can fill those in and sand them out. Okay. Now as you see, I got the primer on it. I've dusted a guide coat on it. I don't have the actual guide coat. I keep forgetting to get it. So what I use is reduced base coat. It's just black over reduced base coat. And it's just dusted on. Don't use like spray can primer. or spray can, anything, you know, other than unless it says guide coat. You can get cross contamination because the spray bomb stuff is usually a lacquer primer. But anyway, I've got this sanded, and as you can see, guide coat's off. I got no Bondo or any high spot showing. It's just good to spit paint. I'm using 320 on a long block. You want to try to use as long as board you possibly can for the area. See if I can get this in the video. So this gives you an idea of why you use a guide coat. Because it lets you see things. Now I keep sanding this, hopefully all that will come out. I put a lot of primer on it. If I get done sanding this and I see something like that, then I gotta put some putty in it and re-prime it. Okay, I'm back. Got this blocked out. As you can see, maybe some guide coat right there below this line. I gotta put some more glaze and putty in there. And this is a little high, so I'm gonna fucking tap that a little bit with a hammer and skim that with a glaze putty. Then I'll have to sand that area again and re-prime that spot. Other than that, it's ready. Everything blocked out good. I'm putting color on the Camaro. I don't really remember where I left off this. But anyway, the primer come up to about here. So I blend the color out a little bit fast. I'm going to end up clearing the whole door. I'm doing a blend up here in the pillar. I'm going to bring the clear up to about here. Then I'll do a wet sand and a buff on it. And you won't even know it's been done. Yeah, Camaro's done. Just gotta get a hold of the owner and tell him to get the fuck out of here. Here's where I did the blend. With just a wet sand and buff after, no big deal. But it's a mechanical blend, it's not a burn. They tend to hold up better than the burns with a chemical. But each their own.